Storm clouds moving in. Whatever's gonna happen, it's about to begin. I remember what the drunk donkey told me when he said, son, don't fear. Mike's where the page life is about to begin. Then he's gonna tell you about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you which way it's going, if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that they try to hide. Just click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. There'll always be some haters, but they don't understand that Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend Mike, he's your man. Then he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news others try to hide. Look on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nation Pride.
All right, what's up, everybody? Good evening. This is our Daily Brew PM edition. I think it's our fifth night in a row going live at night. So welcome. Thanks for tuning in. This one's a little shorter than our morning Daily Brews. This one is more to the point. Shelly named it the Dirty 30. Like we're getting down into, the nitty gritty. So that's what we're going to do. I don't even want to read comments. I want to go right into the weather because that's what most people are here for. We'll do a little bit more, obviously, tomorrow. We usually go an hour and a half on the morning show, so we'll be live tomorrow, 9:19 Eastern. A lot of overnight data comes in overnight, so there's always a lot of new stuff to talk about in the mornings. It's been a heck of a storm. Let me tell you, this has been one of the most frustrating storms for me, and I know it goes down to one thing. I was on the bone today with my buddy John Sinney's birthday and Drew Garabo, and they're like, "What did you learn? And I think this storm taught us it was a mid-level low without a low-level circulation. Beryl had a low-level circulation. It was clear-cut where it was at. The models did a good job. This one was all a guessing game, and now it's slowly starting to make sense because it's kind of coming together. Okay, Florida is watching very close, and then our East Coast friends along the Atlantic are watching very close. Okay, so this is two different groups of people watching. And yeah, we're going to get a new update at 11 o'clock. The NHC, 11 o'clock Eastern, will probably have warnings pushed up into the state more. So everybody's phones are going to be going off at 11. Tropical storm warning. We might get a hurricane watch. I don't know, but I'm telling you, I think we might. Just got that look to it. But anyway, here's Mike's weather page. This is what it looks like. Here is the latest cone. This comes out at 11. New people tracking tropics. The cone is anywhere that the eye could go. And remember, a storm is very heavily weighted on the eastern side. So don't think because you're not in that circle, you will not get effects. That is just where the center is going to go. So you notice a little slowdown here. There's your time stamps, 2 p.m., 2 a.m., 2 p.m. Little slowdown. Some of the models are still showing a potential stall. A little less, though, today. It's going to coast, skirt the Atlantic coastline. There are some models that are a little stronger than a tropical storm, so we're going to show you all that. This is where it's at 8. I think it's going to get shifted to the west at 11. I really think it's going to. What that means is a little more time over water and possible last minute strengthening. So this goes a little bit west. It's in the hottest water in the Atlantic. This ocean heat content below Cuba is so hot. Light wind shear ahead, MJO, everything that storms need, it will have. And that's why we got to watch it close. No model showing a major hurricane right now, by the way. So that's good. All right, so there's the latest track. Some other graphics up. This is when you might start to feel tropical storm winds. Believe it or not, by 8 in the morning tomorrow, you might feel tropical storm winds in South Florida. 8 p.m. Okeechobee area, that would be Fort Myers. Sunday morning around the Tampa Bay area. Okay, tropical storm force winds reach ahead of center because our system is very large and it's expanding, and we're going to start to see feeder bands way north of the eye. So tomorrow morning down in the Keys, you're going to start feeling the first feeder bands of PTC, number 4. The reason they call it PTC, it's potential tropical cyclone. It's not a name yet. Cyclones are areas of low pressure. Very confusing, but there you go. Some other graphics. They updated this at 5 o'clock. We were under 1 to 3 foot of surge. Now we've got 2 to 4 foot of surge. And might I remind anybody in the Tampa Bay area northward, okay, if we get the 3 to 5 mark, if this thing strengthens and we get 3 to 5 foot surge, that's exactly the same predictions that we had during the December storm. We didn't have it in the December storm. We had it during Idalia. We had it during Ada. And we had a lot of flooding in areas across a big chunk of west central Florida. And the noon moon is on Sunday. So unfortunately, we're going to have higher water on top of surge. And surge, remember, surge is the flat part of the estimation. Waves go on top of that. So we get feeder bands rolling in on top of surge. That creates waves on top of surge. So that's more than this. This is why a deepening tropical system will increase those waves, thus the surge. The surge doesn't count for waves, is what I'm getting at. So that's a flat number based on tide and the storm. But that came up. That was interesting. Another thing, here's your rainfall map. It's going to move all around. But basically anybody in the orange is 8 to 12 inches of rain. That's a lot of rain. Well, actually 6 to 8. Excuse me. The little dots of orange here are 8 to 12 across. So yeah, it's going to rain. This is through all next week basically, but initially obviously it starts. So look at that. Other than the Florida Panhandle, lots of rain in the peninsula. Even if this thing goes across the, let's say it does that. The east side is the dry side. There is a front coming down. The front's going to help fuel it, but the front's also got dry air behind it. So we might have a heavily loaded right side of the storm. So all the action is to the right. If this thing would have hugged the east coast of Florida, there might not have been any effects, like Isaiah, right, until it goes north. So we're still watching heavy rain along the Atlantic seaboard as this thing crosses over. Now I'm going to show you all the latest models here in a minute. This is a 30-minute Dirty 30 round, so that's why I'm not talking. We're going to talk longer. Zoomed Out Earth, great site. I have all these linked on my MikeStoryPage.com. This is kind of telling you where it's at and where it was supposed to be. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize this thing is tracking a little bit more west than it's supposed to. These are the predicted markers at 5 p.m. This is where they drew the cone at 5, and this is where it's at now. So it would have to reorganize quick over Cuba, or we're going to get a new cone shift to the west. And again, I'm not going to show you all the water temperatures and stuff tonight, but all this down here, extremely warm water. And we're starting to see that bubbling going on and possibly a new center. I keep posting that. I got to be careful. Somebody called me out as a wish caster. Like, are you kidding? I mean, first off, do you know me? Like, did I write that somewhere? But anyway, I try not to be a wish caster. All right, so anyway, TravelTidbits.com. Levi, we've been supporting Levi a lot of years. He friends on X and does a lot for me and lets me link his stuff and we share. That's why I'm always constantly linking his stuff, driving traffic to him. Hopefully you all support him. He's got a support button on his site. But here is the bottom line. These just came out. These just came out. The 00Z model run. Sometimes they're not out this early. They just came out. And what do you see? A pretty significant shift. And what else do you see? Do you see what I see? Look at that. I don't think, has anybody talked about this right here? That is the fix on the 00Z models. That is where they're guessing the center is. Thus, the shift west. What does that mean? Well, it means it has a little bit more time over water to intensify. That means the models I just shared, the hurricane specific high resolution models, are all showing 980 range hurricane. So Cuba is flat on the western part, and again, hot water. So big change. According to this, we did get a new center that the NHC is going to adjust their cone likely at 11. Big news for the folks in the Panhandle. Paying attention close to this. Intensity models, I don't know. Sometimes I believe them, sometimes I don't. But anyway, there are a couple of them are in the category 1 range. Notice the weakening over land, but then we got another ramping up that we're going to have to watch for the Carolinas. So ramping up to Florida, ramping down over land, then ramping up along the Atlantic seaboard. So not too sure right now. I think these are a little underdone. What's it look like? Well, this is right before the sun went down. And I'm telling you, this burst right there, that burst usually indicates center. And I'm telling you, if you look very close right here, smack dab, focus right there. Well, look at where they just put the X. That might be where they're tagging center. I didn't even notice that until we just went live. But they're tagging it, that little bump right there. Yeah, it's pretty much exactly where they're tagging center, right where that big burst of convection was at. So, wow, right? Look at that. Let's super duper zoom it. And, you can just kind of see a road. So we'll see. But that to me is what we've been talking about all day. All right, that's a big look. Red green. We got the infrared satellite here. Kind of the same thing. You kind of see the road. You're definitely seeing outflow up top, ventilation. You're seeing this coming in. You're seeing that. You're just getting the overall look here. And hurricane hunters don't fly over Cuba, but they can fly over that. So we'll see what they show. All right, let me show you all the latest models. There's a lot of guessing going on. This is an old school map that I've always used. This is the 850 millibar showing you the rotation, right, or maybe, hard to tell, smack dab in that red. That's the 850. But the important one is the 500 millibar. This is the one I've been watching all day, and this is definitely showing some vorticity lower than Cuba. So that's enough about that. All right, modeling. Let's take a look at all the latest models. All right, this is what we're going to do. Remember, I'm done at 9:30 because I got a date. I got a lot to order. I gotta do a little reel and some other stuff. So we'll be live at 9:19 Eastern. We'll be answering questions in the morning. I promise that's what we do. We're a lot more laid back in the mornings, but this is an update. We used to not go live at night. This is extra. So we're live in the morning. I don't think anybody goes live as much as we do. But anyway, all right. So these are higher resolution hurricane models. They did exceptionally well with Barrel, and they've done exceptionally well over the years. Especially the H-Wharf, my favorite model. It was one of the best during Barrel. All right, so this is what it's showing. A weak low here coming off of Cuba, but again, it's even kind of initializing it, not where we're at now. This is a little higher north, and maybe it might actually end up coming over here. Panhandle needs to be watching this extra close. All right, but here's what the H-Wharf's doing. 1,008 millibar tomorrow, midday. Nothing special around the Keys, but watch what it does. Just common sense. Hot water. 1,001 millibar. This is overnight Saturday. Here's Sunday morning time, 998. Here's Tampa Bay, 993, 992, 86, 85. So there you go. And it starts to curve it, and it slows it down. This would be Monday midday. Pretty strong little system there across Georgia. And it just skirts the coast here. It kind of stalls, and then it, just stalls. This is Wednesday. This is and it backs up. This is that stalling that a lot of models are showing still. Landfall, and then watch what happens. It just sits there. This is the H-Wharf. That's a scenario that we've been talking about. The reason being, we have high pressure here, high pressure here. It takes longer to get here. The drawbridge opens. That was our little analogy today. These two combine, and there's nowhere to go, and that's what's happening. So that's interesting. H-Wharf still showing that. All right, other models. Let's look at the H-Mon. These are all 18Zs. They just came out. 1008 by the Keys. Bottom line, same thing. 996, 90, 89, 87, 86. So strengthening system approaching is what we saw with Barrel. Barrel was officially at 979, and I'm telling you, Cat 1s can be bad. You might not expect much, but it was bad to a lot of folks that lived there their whole life and didn't expect damages like they saw. So strengthening hurricane to me is what I've learned is a lot worse. Even Idalia being a major, it was weakening, so they didn't have much going inland. This type of setup here is going to have a lot more inland effects than we saw with Idalia. Even though Idalia was bad in Valdosta, this will be still under 1,000 millibars as it crosses up through the state. And H-Mon, Carolina's 998, so it's not really showing too much, which is good. I'm going to show you more of the operational runs. These are good short term. All right, that's the H-Mon. Let's look at Halves A, another good model. Basically the same thing. Here's Sunday morning, 996 by Tampa. What does this mean for Tampa? Well, again, Sunday morning, we're going to be watching for flooding. We're going to have a new moon. We're going to have same situation we saw with Ada and Idalia in the December storm. We're going to have potential for impacts there. Halves A, 986, so you get the idea. And then Halves B, same thing here. 984, 5, whatever, 683, I think it says. 983, that's pretty low. So you can just see the trend here. I'm telling you, trends. I've been showing you the trends all day, and you just kind of got the feeling that was what's going to happen. Now, what's it going to look like rain band wise? I'll show you that here. Kind of give you an idea, just kind of what it looks like. Well, we're going to go to weather models for that. All right, so here's the operational models real quick, just to show you how we've seen a trend. The latest Euro 18Z is now running, and let's zoom in to the southeast. So the 18Z has caved into the GFS, and it is showing a little deeper system now, and pretty much the Big Bend area. It only goes out 72 hours, but the Euro has shifted west. The latest GFS has kind of kept the same thinking, maybe a little shift west, and it's right there, slowing down a little bit off the coast, and it's 974. So this is what I wanted to show you, the main operational runs. GFS, north of Tampa into the Big Bend area. And then midweek next week, this thing could develop over the warm Gulf Stream. The water anomalies on the Atlantic side are warmer than normal too. We're going to have light wind shear, low steering currents. Time for this to re-intensify, and that's all the discussion I've read with the National Hurricane Center. So Carolinas are definitely watching this. Virginia there, as this thing might get going. That's the latest GFS. Latest main European run. This was afternoon run, 12Z. Obviously that west swing. And it's actually showing that stalling out midweek here and doesn't really do anything with it. Kind of comes back in. So the stall is still showing up. That's going to affect big rainfall Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, possibly, if it does stall. That's the Euro. And then the latest Icon 18Z, same thing, weak down by the Keys, slow ramp up towards the north part of the state. And Icon skirts the coast, 977. On the Icon. So you get the feeling of what we're really watching here. We're obviously watching Florida now, But then we're going to switch to the East Coast, as some of the models are showing this to re-intensify over, and even the NHC expects it to re-intensify over the water. Now, a couple other models real quick. I want to show you the UK. I think has been the best model for this system from day one. I showed the UK a long time ago showing the Gulf, and it was the only one showing the Gulf. So it seems like every storm, a particular model picks up on it. Here's the 12Z, UK doing the same thing. Up towards the Florida Panhandle, and this would be Monday morning. All these are about late Sunday night, Monday morning if we get a Florida Panhandle landfall, by the way. Sunday into Monday. Monday morning could be landfall, which means effects bad going into Monday morning. And then the United States here on the UK, it rides the coast, and, that's tough because it's right across the Carolinas there Thursday. Definitely going to get weather on the Carolinas and the eastern seaboard. One last model here is the KMA. It also did very, very well with this model. Did good last year a lot, and it did good all the way back to Ian days. So I track it. I look at it a lot. It's really consistent now. Here's the 18Z. It just came out. Oh boy, that's 100 knots. Ooh, that's a fast. That's intense. But look where it's at. So, we look for model consistency right here. And I'm telling you, we got model consistency. KMA has done very well with this system. Let's hope it doesn't do that. But that's obviously always possible. This would be Monday morning, okay? Monday is the theme here. The 12Z earlier today, basically the same thing. It was pretty strong, 85 knots. That's where we're at. I don't think there should be any questions. What's it going to look like? Rain bands, if you're new to tropical systems, when I say don't focus on the center, this is why. If we look at the radar presentation here, you're going to see what I'm talking about. But as our storm approaches tomorrow, this is kind of sloppy looking, but this is pretty much the morning tomorrow. But watch these rain bands will start to come in through the state. And the ones you watch, this is tomorrow into Sunday morning. These bands out in the Gulf whip in, and sometimes they can spread inland, but sometimes they'll have tornadoes attached to them. So the south side whips around the feeder bands to the east side. Remember, this side might be kind of dry, but all these build energy and hit the Florida Peninsula. So the Florida Peninsula is on the dirty side. If this was on the other coast, there might be nothing much on the Florida side, but now that we're on the dirty side, you see these rain bands and how they might look with radar presentation. Here's for example, this is Sunday night into Monday morning. Oh, it went to Wednesday already, but we can start to see. Golly, every time I slide I have to go around it. So when this thing starts to exit the state, we start to get these feeder bands now this way as they wrap in counterclockwise. So even though our system's here, we're going to be getting feeder bands into the Carolinas and Georgia. And this is Sunday night into Monday morning. So that's kind of what they look like. And even when a system passes, for example, watch what happens. Even though our system passes, this is the H-Wharf, we could technically still get some feeder bands on the tail side. I've seen a lot of tropical systems still have energy racing up into this as it tightens up here. So this would be all the way into Monday morning. So there you go. Pay attention to your National Hurricane Center. I have amazing links on the site. The very first couple links on my site here are your local National Weather Service offices. Tampa, Miami, Melbourne, Key West, they have a threat and impact page, which is phenomenal. So if you go to Tampa Bay area, hit threats and impacts, you click on that, you'll get a plethora of maps here that update per every advisory. This is your wind threat currently, showing you where you can get max winds. Orange would be 58 to 73. This will be updated at 11. Storm surge maps, flooding rain maps, tornado threat maps. They're already starting to see tornado threat maps there, obviously. So that's on the site. Just click on all these links. This is everything you could possibly want to know with this storm. And then if you're new to storms and you need information, helpful hurricane links right here. I got all kinds of links that will help you hopefully for any questions, pets, special needs, food. And then here's a great one from the National Hurricane Center about planning and preparing. They're right here on what to do. So we got a new updated 11. All right. Watches and warnings are going to be extended more than likely. They're probably going to shift the cone, my gut feeling, to the west a little bit. And I'm sure they're going to start talking about a hurricane up in the eastern part of the Panhandle, Big Bend area. They have to, because the modeling is just really favoring this thing to intensify. Not talking major hurricane, but at this point, the KMA is the only one that's showing anything stronger than a Cat 1. So we just watch, it's a big blob of clouds right now, but we have a lot of people that say it starts to get that look, and now that it's over a flatter part of Cuba, this is going to be watching real time. I mean, look at this big old blow up of convection. This one right here is where it looks like the center's at now, and it is the center. If you look at the latest 00Z spaghetti models, they did shift the center off the coast of Cuba. So that trend is indeed where they believe the center is going to be. So hopefully it was helpful for y'all. Like I said, we'll be live at 9:19 in the morning. We'll talk a lot longer, I promise, and read a lot more questions. And I know everybody's anxious, but key messages are always great to read from the National Hurricane Center here. They post these at 5 and 11, and they'll have a whole thing. Basically, hopefully answer all your questions that you might have. So if you're told to evacuate, if you're in an evacuation zone, my advice anymore is yes. I used to be Debbie Downer, but especially if you're in a storm surge area. And what I witnessed storm surge firsthand with Beryl. Never witnessed storm surge as it happened, and it absolutely was everything I thought it would be and more. And it was downright scary how fast the surge comes in, leaving you no escape. So if you're in a surge area and you're told to evacuate, the advice is tens of miles, not hundreds of miles. Just get out of the evacuation zones. The wind, you can hide from the wind. The water is the bad part of the storm. So anyway, all right. Thank you guys. Hurricane Hunters will be out a bunch now that it's back over water. So we'll get all that data. So anyway, but we'll be with you all night. I'll be posting at 11 o'clock with you. So watch for that, and see y'all in the morning. All right, bright and early. I'll start posting hopefully around 6 a.m. All right. See you.